Good morning, everybody. It's your boy D Max. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Let me get myself comfortable so I can really get into this a little bit. All right. So the title is talking about Miranda Rights and how they should be implemented into every rapper's contract. You know what Miranda Rights are, right? So when you get arrested, cops come and put the cuffs on you and all that stuff, and they're gonna say your Miranda rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law, not used for your benefit or used to help you, but used against you in the court of law. You have a right to an attorney. If you do not have an attorney, then one will be provided for you. So on, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Do you not think that this is something that needs to be implemented in a rapper's contract? Because the way these dudes is getting caught up in these RICO charges and they just telling on themselves in all of their songs and all of their albums, they need some type of guidance. They need some Miranda rights within their contract so they'll know not to tell on themselves. Cause that's all they doing. You have the right to remain silent, bro. All of that stuff that you saying on those records are being used against you in the court of law. And you're not exercising any type of restraint. You're not exercising any type of code language or nothing like that to protect yourself. Back in the day, a lot of times when we say back in the day, everybody, oh, here go that old head. But no, check this, peep this. Back in the day, man, we would have codes. We had code words at least. We had stuff that we would say that would have to be deciphered. And I think that's where a lot of our slang terms came from, was making up code to be able to communicate with each other without certain people picking up on the message that we putting down. And that goes back to the days of slavery, whenever we were singing the songs and there was coded messages within the songs that communicated to people where to go and how to move around in order to get to a place of freedom. And so we've taken that whole concept and we've perverted it, and now we're giving instructions on how to murder and to maim and to destroy. But even still, it's a mode of communication for us. And so with this mode of communication, we're getting the wrong message. We're getting a bad message as opposed to what we used to back in the day. And so there's absolutely no thought. Nobody's putting any thought in using these devices and putting all of your information out here. They act like nobody's listening. And basically what they're doing is, you might as well just walk up in the police office, sit within earshot of them, and just explain everything that you're doing. That's basically what you're doing on these phones and stuff. And you have the right to remain silent, but you can't remain silent on those records. And so you have to go in and give them something. You got to give the streets what's going on, and you can't just give them stories no more. They want to hear the reality. They want to see a video of what you did. They want to know that the person that you talking about in that song is really dead, and they won't have any satisfaction until they know that. So you do have the right to remain silent, but you can't remain silent, because if you remain silent, nobody's going to believe your rep, and you're not going to have any credentials in rap. That's how it goes. And so exercising your right to remain silent is going to stop you from eating, unless you know how to speak a certain language, unless you know how to speak a certain slang. If you go back to the 90s, there was all types of confessions within songs. but the way that it was coded and shrouded in code, you wasn't able to decipher it if you wasn't there or you wasn't in a small inner circle to know what they was talking about. We have some very vivid storytellers in hip hop music. Yes, we absolutely do. And then we have some people who know how to manipulate words and they know how to articulate things in a way to where they can convey the message to the people that they really want to get that message to and leave the other people out. This all goes back to our heritage. This all goes back to the line of communication that we had to use during slavery. So when did we get away from that, y'all? When did we get away from being intelligent enough to be able to covertly communicate with each other through our music? When did we lose that skill, y'all? We've always had it as a people. That's something that's always been embedded within us. And if in fact we are the lost tribe of Judah, we are the tribe of praise. And so music and communication is our repertoire. So how then have we perverted our repertoire so much that we're now putting ourselves in a place of imprisonment through the music that we used to use as a way to stay free and a way to escape into freedom? We going backwards, y'all. We're going all the way totally backwards. Man, thank you, Holy Ghost, for giving me this. Because I promise y'all, whenever I get on here, I do not have a written out script. I would probably jot down a couple of notable points, and I'll probably jot down some dates because I don't remember numbers that well. But my whole show is usually just me coming from the brain. I'm freestyling this a lot of times. So the thought that I give you is my pure thought in the moment, man. And this is where I feel the rap game is. They need the Miranda rights written somewhere within their contract, preferably on the first page, so that they understand the importance of this concept and this law principle. Now, to the other part, we've already stated that you have the right to remain silent. Now, anything that you say, anything that you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. So they letting you know absolutely without a doubt. You open your mouth, anything you say is going to be used. Everything you say, we're going to manipulate your words. We're going to pressure you into a confession sometimes. Yeah, you don't think that that's true? You don't think that this happens in police forces? Yeah, I've seen it. There's a documentary. It was on Netflix. It was caught on tape or something like that. And what they were showing was the tactics that the FBI and the different alphabet groups were using to get people to admit to crimes that they didn't even commit just off of their interrogation tactics. They would wear this person down. They would have this person for so many hours of sleep deprivation and asking the same questions over and over, depriving them of sleep and depriving them of food and whatever else. And that person gets so uh they get so lethargic and they get to the place of having altered mental status. And what altered mental status means is that now your mind cannot properly um separate reality from what is false. That's what that is. And so they'll deprive you of sleep, they'll deprive you of food and everything, and they'll continue to harass you and keep you in a high anxiety situation to where you're beat down and you're just bad so bad that you just want it to be over and you say whatever they want you to say. There's so many document cases of this, and it's not just an attack on one ethnicity. This is something that they practice on all people, all the way across the board. If they need to get a confession and they need a scapegoat to get the masses to calm down and not be in a place of hysteria, then they're going to use these tactics against a person to get them to admit to something they didn't do. And they do it all the time. So you have the right to remain silent. And anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. And they mean that. Anything that you say, that's why wisdom states the very first thing that should come out of your mouth when you go in that interrogation room, whether you're guilty, innocent, indifferent, good, bad, or ugly, whatever. I would like to speak to an attorney. Shut down the whole entire conversation, stop them before they get started, because like I said, anything that you say, and I know just off of dealing with people in the field of psychology, that anxiety, nerves, all of these things play into how a person responds to certain stuff. And so you can have a person so nervous and so anxious that you can get them to have a slip of the tongue. You can get them to mess up a detail. You can get them to say something different than they said last time just by continuing to say the same thing over and over, just rewording it different and trying to catch people up in something. And you know, these tactics, I discussed language manipulation, word manipulation, and stuff like that. All of these tactics are being used during these police interrogations. And you got to think, some of these people have an education level of maybe second, third grade. Some of them have an education of sixth, seventh grade, something like that. So you take a person with a very low IQ who is a basic person who doesn't have the ability to reason and to do cognitive thinking exercises, and you put them in here with people who specialize in breaking down your mental, then they take all types of advantage of these people. And so that's why it's important to shut them down before they even get started with these tactics, and say, hey, I need a lawyer. I don't have anything to discuss with you. I don't feel comfortable in this situation. I would like to speak to an attorney. That's your best bet every single time. Even when you get pulled over by police officers, when you get pulled over and you don't feel obligated to answer any questions that they're asking you because they do not have any reason or they do not have any probable cause to ask you anything, then you exercise that right. You start to quote the Miranda Rights to them. Hey, I have the right to remain silent. So I choose to exercise my right to remain silent. And I would like to speak to an authority figure. I would like to speak to your supervisor. And if your supervisor is not available, I have nothing further to say until my attorney is present. So I would ask that you do not ask me any more questions or try to engage with me any more verbally until my attorney is on the scene. You have to learn how to protect yourself, young dudes out here. You have the hip hop cops, and they are out to get all of you rappers. I was on not a podcast, but somebody did a video the other day of this rapper named K Flock. I guess that's his name. And some police officers had came down to question him out in front of a building, and they didn't know that he was a rapper or whatever, I guess. And so he began to flaunt that he's a rapper after, somebody came down and verified who he was. And him and his crew was all loud and they were taunting the police. And I said that wasn't a smart move. They already have the hip hop cops out here who are specifically designed to harass and arrest these rappers. And so why would you paint a target on yourself like that? Because now they're going to come after you. And see, young brothers like that are the brothers that I'm talking about who need the Miranda rights implemented in their documents as far as their contract goes, so that they understand that these people are out to get them. Absolutely 100%. And they're in a vicious cycle because in the state of hip hop music right now, you have to have guns to protect yourself. You certain areas that you go to, certain places that you go, you have to have protection. And if you don't have any bodyguards or anything like that, then you got to have some of your homies that's strapped up. Because if you don't wear the whole rapper starter kit with all of the chains and all of that stuff on, you're leaving yourself subject to be murdered. There's a young rapper I did a show about last week, I believe, last week or the week before last. Money Gang Avanti. Dude was in New York to do a show. No, he was there to shoot a video and got murdered, brutally murdered in a pharmacy. He went in, I guess, to get a little soda, probably a pack of guards or something, and them dudes came in and blew his wig back. You know what I'm saying? So being a rapper nowadays is a big liability, and if you don't have weapons on you, you're leaving yourself open to be robbed, to be murdered. And if your chain gets snatched, that's the end of your career as a rapper. And so they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, because on one hand you have to protect yourself from all of the people out here who trying to make a come up off of you and trying to eat, because they still down in the hood and they doing bad. But then you have the authorities up here who saying, no, no, you can't protect yourself, get somebody else to protect you. And then you end up losing your life like this young man did. So they stuck in a hard place, man, and these rappers need far more guidance than what they're getting. Giving a 15, 16-year-old kid a whole lot of money and allowing him to go free and run rampant because don't nobody want to say anything to him because they respect his ability to generate money. This is something that has always destroyed children, and they grow up to be dysfunctional adults. You look at all of the Disney kids, all of those child stars that have grown up, you look at all of the complications their life has had. Look at all of the people who have stolen from them. Look at all the people who have exploited them and used them for their star power, for their money, and so forth and so on. Look at Orlando Brown. Orlando Brown just did a video and he was what's going on, Reverend Tony? Good to see you, man. Um, yeah, so Orlando Brown just was doing another video. These people are they're born into stardom or thrust into stardom as a little child, and they get so used to putting who they really are and their true identity on the back burner for so long, and playing these characters and putting them in the forefront for so long. Whenever that star power starts to deteriorate and those characters that they were known for start to be forgotten and diminished, now it's a struggle to try to get their real identity back, because their real identity wasn't what brought the excitement. Their real identity didn't bring the attention. And so now they have a problem detaching from that. We see it a lot of times in these children who are thrust into these positions. And so I say all of that to say this, man. These rappers are giving all of this money and they're giving all of these resources at this young age with an underdeveloped mind, and they go out and they do what they do, and nobody's giving them any type of guidance, any type of legal guidance. But man, these dudes need the Miranda rights all up in their contract. Matter of fact, Whenever they come to the studio to sign their contract, somebody need to be there, some type of official officer to read them their Miranda rights before they sign that contract, and make sure that they understand before they sign that contract what they're signing over, because that's all they're gonna do is tell on themselves. They get on every song, and somebody has to be pushing that narrative to them. Somebody has to be making that suggestion, because that's all that seems to be in the limelight right now. Telling on yourself, telling on other people, putting other people business out there. Whatever happened to the concept of what happened in your house, stay in your house. I wish I would have went outside of my mama's house and told some business that was going on in her house. Man, my mama would have punched me in my mouth with all of her rings on. All of her rings. All of this would have been cut up, tore up. You don't speak about in-house business out here in the streets, but that's all these dudes seem to be doing right now. It's telling all of their business in the streets. It's like Rico off of Belly. I don't like that shit. I don't like that shit. You have to drop a dime on these niggas. That's what's popping in the streets right now, man. So yeah, these dudes need to be read their Miranda rights soon as they walk in the door of the radio, not the radio station, but the record company. Give them their honorary chain, whatever little acronym gonna be on there. Uh, SNL, Snitch for Life. Remember SNL Duck, SNL Bobby. So, give them their little chain, read them their Miranda rights, and then let them sign their contract, and then go from there. So they can't say they didn't know, because it seems like they don't know. So somebody let them know, man. I don't know, man. It's definitely a different time that we living in. Um, I've heard many people. I've dealt with people uh, on some activities back in my day. I'm going to put it out there. I used to do my thing. Used to do my little dirt in the streets, man. And you know, like I said, we had code words that we used, but some people didn't pick up on the codes, and they would just get on there and they just be talking. And I'm telling you now, OGs know this. If a person get on your phone and they start talking open and just saying all blatantly what they trying to do and what you doing, we'll get dumb on them real quick. Yeah, bro, I don't even know what you talking about, man. Check this out. Holler at me offline. And then that's when we're going to school. Hey, man, don't be talking like that on my phone, bro. If you going to call me and no, you say this or you do that, that's the way we did that, man. But cats nowadays, they just don't even care. They ain't got no type of code words. They don't even waste time or bother with that. Look, young thug, hey, y'all ain't killed them niggas yet? What? What? What part of the game is that, man? John Gotti rolling over in his grave right now, man. And John Gotti he was one of the most flamboyant and one of the most outgoing and outspoken gangsters, and that's one of the things that he got in trouble for, was drawing too much attention to the family. So how is these dudes calling themselves gangsters, but they ain't showing no type of gangster? They ain't showing no type of gangster behavior. Let's really examine this. Let's do a parallel of the real Italian gangsters and what we call gangsters now. Italian gangsters, they didn't talk. They didn't put their business out there on the phones and stuff like that. They talk with their codes. These dudes, they do not have that in their repertoire. They out here telling everything on themselves. Gangsters back then, yeah, they had honor. If they had a problem with you, then they murked you. You know what I'm saying? And nowadays, they kill you, they kill your mama, they kill your baby, they kill everything. And they shoot with reckless abandonment. You know, let's see. They had structure. The gangsters back in the day, they had structure within their organizations. That's why they had to create the FBI and the CIA to be able to deal with them, because they were organized. These dudes not organized in these little gangs that they have. They make up an acronym and everybody throw on that chain to be a representation of that, but they don't have any type of structure within this organization. Nobody knows what their lane is. Nobody has a specific role to play on that team, and they just a bunch of followers, a bunch of entourage. And I would never be comfortable with that type of entourage around me, because you never know what they're capable of doing. A lot of times these guys get caught up in the hype of who you're becoming, and they want to prove to you that they down and they willing to do anything to keep you safe, and they'll go out and they'll kill somebody. They'll go out and they'll do other things that will have you up in court trying to explain what went down, because you have an overzealous homeboy who just wants you to know that he down. So I'm real wary about going around in groups and having these entourages with you, because if you look at a lot of times these rappers and stuff like that, they entourage be the ones who get them and stuff. They entourage be the one who be gaslighting and hyping everything up, you know what I'm saying? So y'all guys have to understand what you're getting into whenever you get ready to sign that contract. So yeah, read them those Miranda rights. Understand that you have Miranda rights, rappers. Understand that you have the right to remain silent, meaning you don't have to tell what's really going on. Be creative. Use similes and metaphors and onomatopoeia and hyperbole, and use soliloquies. Use all of these different methods. The English language give you different ways to be able to communicate without truly giving up your true message to outsiders. There's a way to do it, but it means you have to think. That means you have to put on your thinking cap. That means you have to know what words actually mean in order to communicate in such a manner. So quit being intellectually lazy. Step your game up, protect yourselves, and know your rights. Yo, that's all I really want to say on this, man. I appreciate you for coming through, Reverend Tony, man. You always come through, man, and support. Um, I definitely want everybody to go over to Self Awareness TV and check out Reverend Tony. His content is awesome, man. His videos are educational and all of that good stuff, man. I've never went over there and saw something and been like, oh, let me skip through this. Nah, Reverend Tony always got something good for you. So I appreciate you, my brother, man. Always, you know what it is. Go over to your crazy cousin too, man. Your crazy cousin definitely be dropping some jewels on the people, man. And we're all growing intentionally, and we're not just doing it for ourselves, but we're also helping other people to grow along with us. So just stay in the vein, y'all. That's all I can really say. Rappers, get y'all some Miranda rights. Shut your mouth. This your boy D-Mac, man. Y'all know what I say. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.